Oh, well, it's Bill Toft award-winning producer Ben Espiner with you at the moment, and it's Friday, which means, and it's Friday after a very academic and bureaucratic week of high horsery, which means that it is, of course, time for... It's time for Holier Than Thou, and this week the segment is dedicated largely to this country's rabid and out-of-touch bureaucracy, making rash decisions about things that affect you based on absolutely nothing. Starting off, we have the Health New Zealand, an organisation within a sector that is, we are told, chronically under-resourced and facing further cuts to its staff, but still somehow has the time to try and stop a random McDonald's from being built in Wanaka. This week, the National Public Health Service compiled and filed a submission against the resource consent application from the restaurant company to build one of their establishments in Wanaka. The submission was long and waffly and confusing and featured detailed infographics about the impact of McDonald's on social and physical well-being. What was amazing about this, although somehow not particularly surprising either, was that the public submission managed to bring the Treaty of Waitangi into it, saying, quote, "The National Public Health Service is reminding Queenstown Lakes District Council of its obligations to the principles of the Treaty of Waitangi and historical treaty settlements with Ngāi Tahu." Now, exactly what Big Macs have to do with the Treaty of Waitangi and Ngāi Tahu remains firmly up in the air because they don't tell us in their submission. They make no attempt at all to elaborate or explain how it falls within the purview of health bureaucrats in Wellington to lecture a local council about its obligations to the Treaty of Waitangi, or to be getting involved in the commercial activities of a global fast food chain. Now, I've already made my feelings clear about McDonald's. I don't like it. I don't like their buildings. I don't like their food. I don't like how many of them there are. But I am a journalist, and so I will endeavour not to let my personal distaste for McChickens get in the way of fair and balanced reporting. And I cannot see what business it is of Health New Zealand's to be interfering with the building of a McDonald's, or what relevance the Treaty of Waitangi has to that development. And neither, it would seem, does the Minister of Health, Shane Reti, who issued a statement saying the submission was a surprise to him and that its relevance was not immediately clear, which is a very diplomatic way of saying it was a load of old hokum. And aside from the complete irrelevance of a public health organisation's hot reckons on the construction of a Macca's, one of the more salient points I think to take from this debacle is just how well it exemplifies the need for the applicability of the treaty principles to be properly defined in legislation, to stop bureaucrats wearing lanyards from writing up these long-winded, waffly reports that claim that the treaty principles forbid things from being done. Whether you agree with David Seymour's solution or not, the treaty principles bill or of its ilk should not be about sowing division or starting a war or taking anything away from anyone. Its goal is to stop bureaucratic rubbish like that from happening on your dime. Next up, we've also got Immigration New Zealand, who've embarrassed themselves twice this week, which is impressive for the festive period, where it's usually more difficult to screw up as a government organisation because people are distracted by sales on air fryers and their mounting credit card debt. But this week, Immigration New Zealand announced they'd be rejecting the visa of prominent US conservative commentator Candace Owens, who wanted to come here and say things to an audience comprised of people that wanted to hear it, which is something that New Zealand hates, by the way. We hate when well-known people try to come here and say stuff that's naughty or unpopular. We've seen this time and time again with Avi Yemeni. We saw much debate over whether Posey Parker should have been able to come here, Jordan Peterson, and it's happened again now with Candace Owens. And look, I can't say that I'd have been camping out for a ticket to her events, but I do want to know when Immigration New Zealand is going to learn its lesson about banning celebrity commentators from entering the country. I want to know when they're going to realise it has literally no impact on whether New Zealanders see their ideas and opinions, other than maybe attracting people who would otherwise have been completely unaware to her content. So the only reason New Zealand immigration makes decisions like these, given it's completely ineffective, is to look woke on the world stage, which we need no help in doing. That reputation is signed, sealed, and delivered. We don't need to worry about that. Also this week, in a double whammy for Immigration New Zealand, they were harassing popular YouTuber and streamer Speed for coming here and broadcasting New Zealand tourist spots to an audience of 30 million people for free because he got the wrong visa. Now, there's been some debate about this and whether we're justified in reviewing his right to be here. But there shouldn't be a debate about that. Speed wasn't working here. He wasn't taking a job that would otherwise have gone to a citizen. He wasn't taking money off of any New Zealander or taking anything away from us whatsoever. He was filming himself chasing sheep around a field, eating a steak and cheese pie, and just broadcasting himself having fun in New Zealand, God forbid, to an audience of 6 times our entire population. But we just had to step in. We had to step in and make it a negative experience because New Zealand doesn't like people that have lots of money. And we think that people that do have lots of money should give most of it to the government or go somewhere else. And that's fundamentally what this is about. This is about New Zealand stepping in on a fun, lighthearted situation and making it depressing and lame. It's what we do. It's what we did when comedians come here and make dark jokes. We did that when that Spanish sports team came and poked fun at the haka. We just cannot help ourselves. And for that reason, Immigration New Zealand and the wider New Zealand bureaucracy that is doing its best to make this country known internationally for being stuck up, tall poppy bores, are holier than thou this week.